December 24th, 1944. The dense forest of the Ardennes lay cloaked in thick snow and eerie silence, broken only by the distant rumble of artillery. You can almost feel the biting cold wind slicing through the trenches, the frozen mud crunching beneath heavy boots. American infantrymen huddled in foxholes, their breath rising in ghostly clouds, skin numb beneath layers of wool. They stared across no man's land, barbed wire, shattered trees, and muddy craters, separating them from the enemy. The Battle of the Bulge was in full savage fury, a desperate German offensive aimed at piercing Allied lines. Amid this chaos and death, the soldiers on both sides were strangers, bound by the same brutal cold and fear. Yet strangely, tonight something unusual stirred in the air, softening the tension like a whispered prayer. Suddenly, a flicker of movement, a light here, a shadow there. Could it be? Whispered voices carrying across the snow. What was that low hum? The strains of a carol, carried on the wind. In the middle of one of WWII's deadliest battles, with bullets and shells raining down just beyond the tree line, German and American soldiers started singing Christmas carols to one another. At first, it was disbelief. Some soldiers thought it was a trick, but the voice rose clearer. Stille Nacht, Heilige Nacht, sung in German, met with Silent Night from the American side. It was a fragile thread of humanity stretching across the frozen wasteland. Then down the trenches, hesitant figures emerged, rifles slung over shoulders, hands raised in peace. Small groups crept out silently, eyes wide with wonder and pain. What happened next would stun the commanders watching from their radios hours later. A ceasefire, unofficial and brief, but real. The snow muffled footsteps as American soldiers cautiously stepped out of their trenches. Faces etched with exhaustion and disbelief scanned the shadows for threats that never came. Slowly, across the snow-covered no man's land, German soldiers emerged too, rifles lowered, eyes weary but searching. Corporal James Jimmy Henderson of the 101st Airborne later recalled the heartbeat of that moment. It was like the war stopped just for a breath. The space between them was narrow, no more than 100 yards, but seemed infinitely wide with the weight of war's cruelty. Yet here, amid destroyed tanks and shattered trees, men exchanged cautious nods, tentative handshakes. You could almost hear the silence speak louder than artillery ever could. Suddenly, laughter broke the tension, a sound so alien in a battlefield it echoed like a miracle. Soldiers exchanged small gifts scavenged from their pockets, a chocolate bar, a pack of cigarettes, a red woolen scarf. Private Karl Schumann of the 6th Panzer Army offered a small box of homemade cigarettes. In return, an American from the 87th Infantry Division gave a can of peaches. For a fleeting hour, enemies became men, sharing stories of homes left far behind, the longing for peace. One American soldier pulled a battered harmonica and played jingle bells, prompting sing-alongs that cracked the bitter cold. Mothers and wives back home could never imagine this surreal mingling beneath the shadow of death. Then came the whispers, about wounded comrades still trapped in no man's land, about orders forbidding fraternization. Some officers watched in horror and confusion through binoculars, struggling to grasp what they witnessed. Could such a truce hold? Was it a sign of hope or a dangerous crack in the war machine? As the night deepened, a chilling realization spread through both sides. This fragile peace was temporary and could shatter with the first crack of a rifle. And yet, by morning, the battlefield would roar again, drowning out this small human moment in thunder and blood.
As dawn's pale light seeped through the frozen trees on December 25th, the fragile camaraderie melted away with the rising sun. Soldiers hurried back into their foxholes and bunkers, rifles grasped tightly once more. The air snapped with tension, orders crackled over radios, and the brutal symphony of war resumed. But beneath the gunfire, something profound had shifted. Corporal Henderson gazed across the frozen battlefield where just hours earlier, laughter and song had bridged impossible divides. We weren't just fighting strangers, he thought. We were men caught in a nightmare together. Reports from frontline officers were mixed. Some condemned the truce as a dangerous lapse, fearing it weakened discipline and morale. Others admitted it revealed the raw truth, that soldiers on both sides yearned for peace even amidst the harshest fighting. German Lieutenant Friedrich Keller later confessed in a war memoir, "For a moment, we saw each other not as enemies, but as men with families, dreams, and fears." It was a glimpse of what soldiers on any side long for. The truce echoed beyond the battlefield. Letters home carried stories of that impossible Christmas night, stirring quiet hope among families and civilians yearning for an end to bloodshed. Yet, commanders quickly reasserted control. Harsh warnings and tightened orders forbade any repeat of fraternization. The Battle of the Bulge, relentless and merciless, would rage on for weeks, costing thousands more lives. Still, the memory of that Christmas quietly endured, an enduring testament to the human spirit's defiance against the darkest horrors. A reminder that even in war's coldest moments, sparks of compassion can ignite, however briefly. Years later, the story of that Christmas night in the Ardennes transcended battle lines to become a symbol of hope amid chaos. Veterans on both sides carried the memory like a secret balm, the brief pause when hate softened and humanity shone through icy dark. Documentaries and memoirs retold the episode with a cinematic poignancy. The flicker of candlelight against snow, the shared smiles between once fierce enemies, the music of distant harmonicas mingling with whispered carols. It revealed a universal truth that war could not extinguish the longing for peace. What makes this moment extraordinary is not just its rarity, but its emotional weight. These men faced death daily, yet in that frozen hell, they chose connection over conflict, a temporary truce as fragile as frost on a battlefield. Historians later debated its impact, but for those who fought, it underscored a profound lesson, that beneath every uniform is a story, a family, a yearning for normalcy. The war machine marched on, but the truce planted a seed, one that would inspire future generations to seek common ground even in division. Today, as snow falls quietly over former battlefields, you can almost hear those distant carols, reminders that no matter how brutal war becomes, humanity's voice can never be fully silenced.